I have come to realize that addiction to love of a family is stronger than the addiction to drugs.
I want to proudly show off my son to show you that keeping home my daughter did not ruin anyone. Amram, please step up. Thank you. I will just tell you one thing. In my prior Gilgal, I call it, before this whole journey, I would never, ever hug or kiss a child. Now, this is my routine. Oh.
I would start off with explaining my relationship with my sister. Me and my sister were as close as sister and brother come. We did everything together. We cooked before Pesach and baked together. We went shopping together. We fought together. We played together. As a matter of fact, my sister is a bigger Talmid Chacham than me. Talmidei Chachemes. She learned Hilchos Shabbos as a girl, and I didn't as a Tmucher. And this is why whenever I did anything wrong, she was the one that gave me miser on it. As the years went on, I went to learn in yeshiva, and Vishnitz, and Gibbers. And there was a sleepaway dorm. I slept over there, ate over there, stayed over there. But from time to time, I called home, and I heard from my parents that something is going on with Etty. She's not herself. She's acting differently. And then as the weeks passed, my parents mentioned the new mahalach that they're hearing about. We're not being as strict with her anymore. We're not telling her what to do. We're accepting her as the way she is. And I was like, what? What do you mean accepting her? What's accepting all about? You said Nasa v'nishma. You decided to do whatever Hashem tells you. And in my Torah, if someone is Mechal Shabbos Afrasir, you have to kill that person. And what do you mean accepting and embracing her? From where do you take this? As it went on, I came home and I found my sister acting the way she did, not doing exactly as I would let her do. And she didn't do everything to my approval. I would start giving her miser and throwing in a sharfwart wherever I could. But to my astonishment, she just started crying when I told her this. I asked her, what happened to you? She asked me what happened to me. She asked me, I thought you're my brother and I'm your sister. I'm not as friend a person. Why are you acting to me so bad, so rude? And I looked at myself, what do you mean? I thought when I'm telling you that the guy's brennen a Gehennen for what it is yet, she's going to stop, drop her roll, and run daven. And all I got back was tears in her eyes asking, and I thought you were my only brother that I had a connection with. I thought there must be something wrong here. But I knew what I'm doing is right. So let's start asking more people what their opinion of it is. I see my parents went off the derech over here, the Kiruv. So let me see how I can help the situation here. So I went around asking many people. Besoichem, I found I was very close with the Kalev Rebbe, Rafia Shalayim and Moshe Ben Reisel. From Williamsburg, as we all know, he has a big history, an amazing schus of the hundreds and thousands of Baal Tshuvos. And I went into him and I started telling him about my sister. And he started asking me, so du suchst dir Misser? I said, sure. And he asked me, did it help anything? I told him, not yet, but we're working towards it. So he asked me this wonderful question. Sie nicht aufgewachsen in derselbe Stieb wie dich? She didn't grow up in the same house as you? I asked him, what do you mean? Of course she grew up in the same house. So she has the same knowledge as I have, correct? I said, yes. Then she knows what she's to do and what she's not supposed to do. So why do you think that when you tell her she's Mechalel Shabbos, that's going to keep her back from doing it again? Why do you think if you're going to tell her Mr. on the way she's dressed, or what I say, undressed, that's going to make her suddenly run up and cover herself? And it started registering to me. So I asked him, Rebbe, what do you recommend I do? Is it schwagen? Should I just keep my mouth shut? He told me no. Zair mekarev. Zair mechazik. Redt sie ihr von der scheines Mannen, was kommen gehad zusammen. Talk to her about the nice times you had together. You're saying she's close to you? Embrace it. Get her closer to you. It took me many speeches with Kalev Rebbe. It took me many times failing to do what he's instructed me to do. But at the end, if you really try to look at the right path and really what Hashem wants from you, you start to see. Means first have to be close to the person. And with the Streit in the Torah, man tun es hargen, als einer von Mechal Shabbos bekommt Miese, meint die das dem hargenen. As a matter of fact, I once asked somebody who called me and asked me, die bist auch von der Chevre, wir sind an Embracen, der ganze Mahalach von halten einer von Mechal Shabbos nun zu dich? So ich, was fragst du? He tells me in my Torah it says that einer von Mechal Shabbos darf man hargenen. So I told him I also know that, but until I realized, it doesn't say that you have to be the one who kills the person. And as a matter of fact, the kurev is pusel aides. And you still have the same mitzvah as loving someone else. With time, I started seeing closer and closer to Shtayte Chassidische Svurim. Hashem asks every Jew, how do you call me your father if that Jew isn't your brother? Mit wus ben ich dan tate, ob nish dan brider. If you look at someone else in the eyes and you distance yourself from someone else, you're not his brother, then Hashem looks at you and says, and I guess you're not my son. I apologized to my sister. I apologized and I said, I realize I don't understand what you went through. There must be something bothering you. You are my sister and I'm your brother. It doesn't make a difference to me how you go dressed or not dressed, how you act, don't act, what you do or don't do. There's never a reason for a brother to lose a sister. Since I started embracing my sister, we went back as a family. I had distanced myself from my sister, I lost myself, not anything else. When embracing your family, you find yourself. I came to realize what's going on with her. In her mind, she feels like my parents and my family don't really love me for the person I am. They might be accepting of when I act as a Chassidish girl, go to school every day, go dress siyazdig, but they don't love me. And this is a question that bothers many kids. And they have to prove themselves in their mind that my parents really love me. It's not my school. It's not when I daven that they love my davening. What they love and what they appreciate is that I'm their kid and I'm a part of the family. It took a long time of testing that my sister tested us, tested the siblings, brothers and sisters, tested my parents to find out, do they really love me? Do they accept me? Or they only accept my dress code and whatever I do for Hashem or don't do? Every Matzah Shabbos for a while, my father told my sister, how about we go out together a little bit? And guess what? She didn't even ask him to go to the theater most of the time. She said, I want to go with you to Rockland Kosher, the most heimische grocery out there. Let's buy an ice cream. But the way she went out, she was very prim. She had a tefach mechissa. As I would once express myself to my father, I saw she had even a gartel. But that's the only thing she had on. And what strengthened us as a family is that my father was proud that Matzah Shabbos, he was excited to go out with my sister because he was the one who got to spend time with my sister and no one else in the world got time with with my sister on that Motzei Shabbos. Once my father came home, my mother asked him, so tell me the truth. How did you feel in the grocery when she went around like that with you in front of all Haimashahid? My father turned around to my mother and said, I was thinking to myself that Hashem isn't embarrassed to go with me the way I look against him. At the beginning, whenever we got guests to Shabbos, my sister would get dressed sneezdig and come out to the Seder, not trying to make anyone uncomfortable. Then one Shabbos, we had guests, and as the guest walks in, my father was thought that she didn't see the guest. So he turned around and told her, Etty, there's a guest coming in. She ran up to her room, locked the door, and didn't come down. My father didn't make Kiddush yet. He was waiting. He thought she was getting dressed, but I realized what happened over there. So I went up to her room. I knocked on the door. I asked permission to come in, and I saw her. She was crying on her bed. And she was asking me, and I thought, Tati loves me again, and here, I don't know, does he or does he not? It took a few sentences, it took a few minutes, and I brought out to her, yes, Tati loves you. He thought that you want to come down and you want to go dress yourself, but he doesn't care. But she was like, no, by now I lost my appetite from coming to the Seder. I think I would just stay in the room. But I told her, Etty, if you're not coming down to the Seder, then I have no Seder. If you're not there, I'm not going down. She thought a minute and said, then I'm coming down to the Seder. It took a long time as I searched between Sifra Misr, Sifra Chasidus, that uncovered for me what the Torah says. The best way to pick up someone else is to thank Hashem for the place you are. And that's the biggest idea for someone else. Not to knock down someone else. It doesn't pick up anyone. The aliyah that someone has is by thanking Hashem and bringing him positivity. It was Motzei Yom Kippur one year. We came home all from shul. We started eating. And I realized my sister isn't in a good place. She came in, she ate, she went out. I have no idea if she fasted that year or not, and it's none of my business. But I saw she wasn't happy. My parents went up, the brothers and sisters went to sleep. I saw she went out on the front porch and started smoking. I took out a plate full of sweet goods, and I sat down on the front porch and started schmoozing with her. We spent a few hours together on the front porch, on KESHER Terrace. How would I tell you what KESHER Terrace means? It's like the Rodney Shul of Williamsburg. We sat over there, and I made sure to act to her naturally as I would spend time with a friend, not as I act with a bucher in a shiva in the dorm or in shul. We laughed loud. We had a good time. And then she was singing and I was singing. We jumped around. And then later she opened up. We spoke about her camp years and about her summer. She rapped. And I started opening a Zemiris and I tried copying the same tune on whatever words I found over there. She even recorded it. Little did I know that when I found out after my wedding that she posted that video on Facebook, and my colleague got a zechiyah to watch it. And guess what? If you do what's right, it doesn't hurt anybody. My wife is still here. We were up all night. We had a great time, Baruch Hashem. She thanked me for spending time. She went to sleep, and it was after the alos by then. So I decided I'm going to shul. I'm going to daven and then go to sleep. As I walked to shul, I started thinking to myself, maybe I just crossed the line. Standing on the front porch on KESHER, laughing loud, singing, jumping. Maybe I just crossed the line. Did I just go too far? And I was like thinking, you know, the Jewish guilt starts catching up to you. I come into shul, I stand at a table and I think to myself, I'm trying to do what's right, and I say to myself, Hashem, if I did what's right, just show me I did what's right, and if I did what's wrong, please let me know. And not thinking to myself what I was doing, I was like playing around with the sefer in front of me. And as it opened up, I just looked at the words, my eyes caught me, and I saw I got a text message from Hashem. The words that caught my eyes in the sefer Noam Elamelech Parshas Vayigash. Aval ahavas ach la'achoisoi. Gam em yichapkeno v'yenashakeno b'shik lo yevizi loi. There's no busha in taking your sister and jumping around with her on the front porch. But I also came to realize is when someone is in pain, someone is in trauma, someone goes through something, they don't have a problem with Hashem. As a matter of fact, I was debating whether to come here and speak tonight. And the one who encouraged me to come speak here was my sister. She told me, Amram, not only I wouldn't mind if you come up and speak over there, but I have a message for you to relay, a couple of messages, as a matter of fact. Someone that never experienced toothache, you can't explain them what it means, a toothache. Someone that never experienced a broken hand can't understand what it means. Someone that was never depressed can't understand what depression means. It is not that I didn't want to shower, that I didn't want to get dressed. I just couldn't. And I'm happy now, she's happy now, that we came to terms to understand that she doesn't want to do bad things. When a person goes through something tough, it is their brain that shuts down and doesn't let them carry on. The body just doesn't let them get on like a healthy human being. We have to understand that people in pain don't have a problem with Hashem most of the time. Sometimes they're trying to direct the pain that they have because they had questions on Hashem. But we realized the closer we accepted my sister and the more love we showed to her, she had less and less problem with Hashem or Yiddishkeit. As a matter of fact, when I was close again with her, and my parents went away and we were babysitting, and she put my little siblings to sleep, she came out of the room many times and said, Raisi, Yasuri are in bed already. Would you go in and line Krishma with them? She didn't have a problem with Hashem. She wasn't able to take the pressure at that time. But if we don't put Hashem into the equation, they don't have a problem with Hashem. If we yell at someone, of course they're going to have a problem with Hashem, because we put Hashem into the equation. It was after my wedding, when there was a real war on our street. All of the neighbors ganged up together, I wouldn't say all, but 90% of them, and sent messages to my parents, throw your daughter out in the street, or else we're going to make protests, organized protests. One of them even told my parents, if you don't throw your daughter out in the street, we're going to break into your house when you're not home and break your stuff in the house. And of course, many other things. At one point, they went into Vishnitzer Rebbe. My father gets a call from Vishnitzer Rebbe from Muncie that he wants to speak with him. I was excited for that moment because I thought maybe the Rebbe is going to say that you don't have to keep such a girl at home. We heard so many stories that officially the Rebbe said, throw out kids from the house. The kids that don't act exactly like the parents have to be thrown out, but we verified those stories that they were false at the end. So I asked my father permission if I could come along with them to the Rebbe and see what the Rebbe thinks about the shitta. We came into the Rebbe. The Rebbe turns around to my father and said, "Achera, deine Tochter geht nicht ungetein wie die Muas." I hear your daughter doesn't get dressed like the imahis. Tell her to either get dressed as appropriate, or she can't do that anymore. And she might just, sie kann straschen, als sie geht dann laufen, das schreckt dich nicht so viel. My father let the Rebbe speak, and then he asked permission if the Rebbe let mich masber sein. But the Rebbe said about it. My father started explaining to the Rebbe, Chanukah Tochter is halb am Straschonen. Chanukah Tochter, was nur, sie geht nicht ungetein wie die Imahis, is a problem. My father started explaining to the Rebbe exactly how she looks, and what she does, and how she acts, and the pain she's feeling. My father told the Rebbe sie wissen, sie trinkt sich mit Vodka den ganzen Tag, von groß Weitug, was hat. My father told the Rebbe how that she's emotionally not functioning. My father told the Rebbe, ich kann mich nicht vorkicken in meiner Machschuwe, als ich soll haben schwarze eigentlich. And I was surprised to see, as my father speaks to the Rebbe was shocked. The Rebbe took a breath and said, Mir sucht man, als sie geht darin verdarben im Gas. They told me that she is going around to ruin other people, as he tried to explain himself, as apologizing in a sense. I'm sorry, he did. So stuben groß hat sluchen mit wo das ist. He pulled back on his words. And as he heard more and more about how my sister is not functioning, now the pain she's in, he started yelling more and more, Oi! He couldn't take the pain. And all he said was, Stuben groß hat sluchen mit wo das ist. Das warte ob hat sluchen. And as my father kept on talking, he kept on repeating himself. My father stressed on these words, my daughter never needs attention or love from somebody else. My daughter never needs money from someone else. She doesn't have to sell herself to somebody else. As a matter of fact, my sister just told me the school that she was didn't let the parents send money to the kids because they were afraid that if parents would send money to the children in school, the children would buy drugs with the money. Whoever does or knows a little bit from what it means to be a drug addict or addiction knows that keeping away from an addict money is never going to take them away from their addiction. What ended up happening in that school was the girls sold the neshama and sold the body for the drug addicts to get drugs. And my sister said, Amram, I never had to sell my body for a drug dealer to get drugs. Because Tati made sure that I always had enough cash on hand. I always bought the food I wanted and even the drugs that I needed. But during the years, I came to realize that addiction has a certain level. There are stronger addictions in life than the addiction to drugs. And I'll explain. I was sick for a few years. Baruch Hashem, I'm standing here. No one can see anything on me. For a couple of years, I couldn't even feed myself. I had to be fed by people. I was in a wheelchair, unable to move around, and dependent on oxygen 24 hours. There was a second day of Pesach when I was yelling and crying out of pain. Taking all oral pain medication didn't help me, and I was literally rolling on the floor from pain. My sister woke up, and she was addicted in that time to Percocet. And whoever is next to a drug addict knows the word withdrawal becomes to be the scariest word in the dictionary. My sister was actually low on Percocet then. She didn't have many in stock. As a matter of fact, no matter how much she had, it was never enough. She saw me rolling out of pain, and she asked me, what did you do for it? I told her, look, I took Tylenol, codeine, Mobic, and I listed out all the other pain medication I said. She said, Amram, I have an idea for you. Try this. She took out from the little Percocet she had saved in case of emergency for herself. She put it onto a hard piece of plastic, took out her lipstick and squashed it, cut up a straw and said, Amram, try this, sniff it. And I was like, I don't do these things. She told me, trust me, it works better than the oral pain medication. And it worked. I have come to realize that addiction to love of a family is stronger than the addiction to drugs. No one has ever got an addict out of their addiction by telling them what you're doing is wrong. I'm going to take your money away. The only way out to kill ahava to drugs is by giving them stronger ahava in home. As I was sick, there was a while, a couple of months, that my body couldn't take any clothing. Barely a sheet I had on. Couldn't get clothing on. My body was too sensitive. And I was thinking to myself at that time, now I comprehend and understand an idea that a person should be in a matzav, in a situation, that clothing is just too hard on the body. Am I still an advocate to throw out children of the house because they don't have the same clothing as me? I came to understand that many times the reason we are done someone else wrong is because we just didn't get the opportunity to feel what they feel. And they're not guilty because we didn't experience their pain. I would just finish with the Gemara that says, there was never a Ben Soyer Moyer, there will never be. Rabbi Yonason replied and said, I saw it. I sat on his caver. So le'olam, when you think into this a second, what was the machloikas over here? Rabbi Shimon said there wasn't never one, and Rabbi Yonason says there was once one. What was the machloikas? They were fighting about a Metzias. Rabbi Yonason could have just taken Rabbi Shimon by the arm and shown him a caver. What went on over here? And the Chroinim even ask a bigger question. Rabbi Yonason was a Kohen. How was he? Every 2-year-old knows that a Kohen can't go to Beis HaChaim. As I once heard a wonderful word from Olsh. So Rabbi Yonason said, when I saw someone in pain, when I saw someone was getting to that level, Someone's going to drop out. I looked at him and I saw myself as if I'm sitting on his caver already. And I gave him the good word. And gave him the chizik that the person needed to make sure that the person doesn't actually get to that stage. This is why you're able to say there was never a B'Tzoyer Emoira. It is not only that kids don't get ruined when they have a sibling in pain and the parents keep the kid at home. It builds a family. It keeps us all feeling more secure. As a matter of fact, I would say there's nothing that built us as a family than being a family. The strongest thing to see how my parents cried many times and standing up and wiping their face and being mechazik themselves. I remember once when my mother got a devastating call from someone who gave her a lot of chizik that she doesn't belong on the block, and she broke down and cried. My father came home from work. He listened. He validated. He didn't tell her Zadach Mechazik. What he showed was it hurts us both, the phone call you got. And then he said the words that encouraged me and strengthened me forever, I took always with me, was another wave came upon us. Let's just bend down, let it pass, and embrace it, stand up together, pick ourselves back up, and do what's right. Thinking back, I would say the only thing that would have been able to break me was a thought that maybe I would lose a sister. The thing that kept us and built us strong together was that we stayed a family. May Hashem help everyone to see only nachas from the children and be zoiche to always see the positive in everything and thank Hashem et simcha.